the age of Trump on First Avenue. The first thing to say is that he's not the Lone Ranger here. We've got the age of Putin, Erdogan, Xi, Modi, Duterte, El-Sisi, Maduro, and the list goes on, with several Europeans now piling on. However, I still think it's worthwhile looking at what is still the UN's most important member state, largest funder, which has a mammoth capacity to create financial and political havoc. So we can't ignore the rhetoric or the actions. I already mentioned the actions in 2017. I think it's important to think about the savings. $70 million from the UN Population Fund. Efforts were attempted to reduce the peacekeeping budget, which eventually saved about $600 million, which the US shares 170. UNRWA, another $65 million. $300 million is a rounding error in the US budget, but they have a far more deleterious impact on the UN, on its morale. No other member state has jumped in to pick up the tab. So, in addition, however, it's these other things that are going on outside of a purely UN context that I think foreshadow what's going to happen also in the UN on trade and the environment in particular. So starting out by tearing up the TPP and afterwards threatening NAFTA, and now the totally outlandish claim that national security requires tariffs on allied steel and aluminum, has played directly into the hands of China, less so into Russian hands, but they benefit too. Beijing, of course, has made the most of this opportunity presented on a silver platter. They now can set the standards for trade in Asia. They picked up worldwide trading partners. Even pessimists who thought that eventually there would be an economic power on the horizon are underestimated the speed at which the US stature has diminished and its credibility evaporated. A strident and unpredictable Washington seems keen to start a trade war. Meanwhile, Beijing is calm and predictable voice of trade and stability. Of even greater significance, I think, on both the symbolic and probably the actual front is tearing up the UN brokered, but kind of separate Paris Agreement on climate change. Once again, China is a direct beneficiary of this myopia. It's happy to play an unexpected new role as the leading advocate of climate change. Ironically, it's become the world's greatest producer of greenhouse gases and has several cities where you don't want to breathe. Meanwhile, however, its technology producers forge ahead, producing 3/4 of the globe's solar panels, and it's actually succeeded in cutting urban pollution in several places by as much as 1/3. Meanwhile, of course, we're looking at coal mines and eliminating regulations. So this is certainly going to make America polluted again. So I think what's important, however, is that there's a 4-year legal limit to withdraw from this pact. By then, my hope is that US electors will have come to their senses. In any case, the mobilization of communities, cities, states, and corporations to respect the agreement means that multilateral, not a unilateral approach, will still be possible by 2020. Indeed, I think it's important that California's economy is bigger than the country where the Paris Agreement was signed, so there is much, much room to continue along this path. And I think it's significant that, I don't know what's going to happen in this year's G20, but last year in Hamburg, that the other 19, while the Trump administration pouted, basically said this is irreversible. We can't go back on this.